Those Whitley County.
Why choose Kelly Chevrolet? We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.
And welcome everybody to Around the Fort. We are back in the cave. It is regional week. Unbelievable. It's starting to feel like regional week. It is in the 40s and 50s this week. And football is just so beautiful this time of year, especially in the state of Indiana. We've got IU and Notre Dame doing beautiful things. We got Purdue dreaming of doing beautiful things. And Jackson will be in West Lafayette this Saturday representing game night. And he's going to bring home a victory for the Boilers. I just got a feeling. I am Casey O'Boyle with Northeast Indiana Game Night. I'm joined, as always, by Jeff Mahoney, who's remote. Jeff, welcome.
Hey, Casey. Another team doing well. College team in Indiana, St. Francis, just pulled off their 8th victory this past Saturday, their 5th in a row. They've clinched a share of the conference championship, and with a win against ONU this weekend, could make the playoffs.
Congratulations to the Cougs. I would love to see them make a deep run. I think I need a road trip to Florida if they could arrange that, if they could finish up there. But yes, good call out there for USF. We're joined as always by Jake the Snake Smith. Jake, he is expecting a road trip to Hawaii, and I think that's why he's dressed the way he is tonight. No, we're actually hoping to have a celebratory cigar / hot tub this evening if the weather cooperates. Jake, welcome back to the cave.
Glad to be here. I do get this outfit out about twice a year, so I'm ready for action in any type of hot tub environment. But did also want to mention I'm still suspended from Twitter with the new regime that we've got in office. Maybe they could see light to give me my 1,400 followers back. I don't know. I'm still in the weeds on that. Also want to give a big shout to the Vandalia Vandals with they show up to the Illinois State High School playoffs. Unfortunately, they are eliminated this week as they lost to their arch rival Pana, Illinois, who beat them by a touchdown week 1. Vandalia then goes on a 10-game win streak, first time in school history to win that many games, and then unfortunately lost by a touchdown again. But why am I saying this? Because I got sweet hats. I love the colors.
Very sweet hat.
And we're on this whole thing of the Busco Terrapins and stuff, so I'm promoting the team to change to the Vandals around here.
Yeah, we cover more than just Northeast Indiana football, guys.
100%.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you, Jake.
Of course.
And without further ado, our Coach in the Cave guest tonight is none other than Mike Eshbach, the head coach of the sectional champion Huntington North Vikings. Coach, welcome to the cave.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's just dive right into it. First sectional championship for the Vikings since 1993.
Phenomenal.
I mean, Jackson was only 10 years old then.
Was he born?
No, he wasn't even born yet. You were probably just getting in trouble.
I was 6.
I was an old man then, but I've been an old man for a long time. Coach, take us through this run. You guys have won 7 of your last 8 sectional champs for the first time in 31 years.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride. And it's easy to, I guess, reflect back on where we were a year ago and as I look at maybe the spring where when the sectionals were realigned, I felt like we were having a good spring, and all of a sudden our kids started saying, "Hey, that's a winnable sectional," and it was something that certainly as coaches we wanted to put in their mind, but they really kind of beat us to it, and and as the season went on, every single week it seemed like we just played better and better and sort of fine-tuned some things. And then all of a sudden, what may be in April or May was just a hope or a dream, really quickly became a reality.
Well, it's been a heck of a run. Jeff, you got a question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. 1-9 a year ago to earning your first sectional championship in 31 years. What do you attribute the success to this year from last season to this season?
Well, number one, we've been healthy every single week, and so that's a huge part of it. But I think we had a good summer. We had a great winter and spring. Fundamentally, we were better. We worked hard to kind of, I guess, improve and develop some of those things. And then, just as the season went on, we truly went week to week, and our goal was to beat Eastbrook. That was something that we hadn't done in a while, and maybe, I guess, it seems like another season ago, but I'm not even sure if we'd beaten Eastbrook before, to be honest with you. But that was a big one. Anytime that you can start 1-0 and beat a always good Jeff Adamson coached Eastbrook team, is a big deal. And and then week 2 we had Northrop at our place, and Northrop had plenty of hype and deservedly so. But we were down 14 points in that game. It was been easy to question some things, and we ended up coming back and winning that, and that was probably the tipping point where I think a lot of our guys really said, hey, we could be pretty good. And so then every week it's just kind of been, just trying to be the best version of ourselves and improve every week. And so, yeah.
It's excellent. And Jeff, I was going to ask Coach, since he's a dog whisperer, if he could help us with the deaf puppy upstairs. He kind of gave Annie a little bit of a voodoo thing, but I don't think it took. Annie's still barking up there. But no, Coach is actually a dog breeder, right?
Yes.
For golden retrievers?
Yes. So our emphasis really has been on service dogs, and
cool.
so we have, imported dogs from all over the world, and we've been very, very fortunate to produce some outstanding dogs. I've got a family in Pennsylvania that their daughter started college with one of our dogs as a seeing eye dog.
Oh, cool.
We've got 6 dogs that work in Michigan schools. Got 2 dogs in New Orleans that work in a treatment facility. Have a PTSD dog in Florida. So we really kind of have them all over the United States. And
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Really neat.
So, yeah.
How many dogs do you have personally?
So personally, that all of our dogs we basically built a house for them. And so there's an 80-inch TV and all that kind of good stuff. So with our schedule, with my wife and I's schedule, it's hard to have one in the house, but they basically live in a house and heated, air conditioned, big screen TV. So it's nice for me because I go out and I can it's sort of my man cave, and I get to watch sports or whatever. Don't have to share TV and that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Jeff, he was totally cool with Archie and Annie upstairs. And he's like, don't worry about me. I love dogs. And I knew that, Coach. Jake, you got a question?
Yeah, Coach, big fan of your offenses you had this year. I was really hyped on the Northrop game with both teams showing a lot of the spread principles. And so I have a kind of a question and then a follow-up, and kind of like we talked upstairs. My question is, what's allowed your spread offense to be so effective this year? And then to follow up to that, what would you tell other coaches in the area that might be afraid of trying to input some spread principles? I think a lot of that thought process is maybe we don't have a quarterback that can do that, or we don't have certain skill players. But I think that the spread is great to run because you can build the run game off that too. And I just wanted to see kind of what your take is on that.
And it is a different animal. And I think if you look at spread offenses in the Fort Wayne area, whether you're looking at Leo, East Noble, Carroll, Snyder, all of those, most of those guys are being professionally trained. outside of their high school program. And to some degree, that's what the IHSA rules sort of have made that possible for those people, but really kind of make it difficult for us. So that's the beginning. And for a lot of programs, they consistently don't have a quarterback year in and year out that allow them to develop that spread offense. And so the easy thing to do is to, kind of build around, other guys that maybe are going to be position groups that may be more consistent year in and year out. So, but for us, if you watch us against Northrop, each week we've evolved, and our philosophy is to really just we run a lot of formations. We're like anybody else. We're trying to either outnumber you on the perimeter, or we're trying to outnumber you in the box, and we're fortunate. Not only do we have a good quarterback, we've got a receiver that's approaching 1,000 yards. We've got a really, really solid running back that's been consistent all year with over 1,000 yards rushing and receiving, 15 touchdowns or something in that range. And so, and then also we've got a good slot receiver that Jimmy Linker had 2 touchdowns for us last week in the sectional finals. And we've got a great tight end. So, really, I think we've got good pieces across the board.
Folks, if you're just now tuning in to Around the Fort, we have Huntington North coach Mike Eshbach down in the cave. Coach, let's dive into tomorrow night. You got a rematch against a really, really good East Noble squad that beat you by a couple scores, I believe, in week 3, but it was a pretty competitive game. You guys are certainly better. I think they probably are too. What are a couple keys for the Vikings in this one?
Yeah, I think even early on, I think across the board, every coach probably would say this, you would like to be more consistent running the ball. And certainly, I felt like that hindered us a little bit in that game. And now, we've moved on and have been more consistent, but that's the big thing. We've got to run the ball. We've got to stop the run. We've got to move the chains on offense and just be consistent, and then, get off the field on third downs defensively. But we've got to make sure we play assignment football on both sides and just really play a clean, consistent game. I don't care if it's us or an East Noble, any regional game, any game that you get at this level, that margin for error is really, really small. And if you don't play clean, you're going home.
For sure. Jeff?
Yeah, Coach, going back to that game, September 6th at East Noble, you went into halftime up 10-7 before the eventual 28-16 loss against the Knights. But what was working for you guys early on that, number one, you were able to keep East Noble off the board, and it's an offense that scores a lot of points, but also to have the lead going into the half?
Yeah, and even at that, I felt like we had a couple opportunities that we missed, and so we were happy to be up 10-7, but we also felt like we could have been in a little bit better situation to help us, and then I think in the third quarter that kind of went back and forth, and then maybe they got I don't remember exactly. When you watch film, sometimes you're not looking at it from like watching a normal TV standpoint. But we got in late in that fourth quarter and Tatum Brooks caught a pass to get us within 5. And, we thought, hey, this is an opportunity. And then they turn around and got us one there late. So.
Coach, tell our viewers a little bit about your quarterback, Tony Decker, and his journey, with the program. We talked a little bit about it upstairs. Maybe recant that story and then just talk a little bit about the season that Tony has had.
Sure. So Tony, as a sophomore, started one game. I believe it was against Jay County. And then when I came in last year, his junior year, he was primarily a receiver for us. Amazingly, He was our leading receiver with about 400 receiving yards. I don't know, maybe half a dozen touchdowns or so. So, and then, from that point, when the season was over, we're like, hey, we need you to kind of step up and fill this role. And he worked really, really hard in the off season, just trying to develop his craft, and both physically, fundamentally, being more consistent throwing the football, but also trying to get a better grasp of what we were trying to do. And
so entail like film, I assume.
And
yeah. Watching.
So film. Just with this concept, if we see this defense, we're throwing it here. Here's our progression. Those kinds of things.
Okay.
And so through the summer, I wouldn't say that we lit it on fire by any means, but it was great experience, and I think we learned a lot. Our passing game got better. And then, as the season started, we knew that 7-on-7 sometimes is great, but it doesn't always translate to wins and losses. I mean, I've had teams that have really done well in the summer and 7-on-7 and, haven't necessarily had great wins and losses. And so, our guys kind of knew that. We took it in stride, and but the experience that he gained really against some of the top programs in Northeast Indiana was important. And so then as the season started, I just kept feeding him more and more and more. And he's just gotten better, and really for a lot of programs, even, Huntington North, I mean, I think he's got somewhere about 850 rushing yards, about 2,150 passing yards, and has accounted for 48 touchdowns.
Mercy.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
and
3K on the total yards.
Yes.
And how many? 48?
Yeah,
total
48
Ts?
touchdowns.
Wow, that's quite a season. I think we need to make sure he's in that conversation for player of the year as well. He's had a heck of a season.
Yeah.
We talk a little bit about him playing defense too, and that dichotomy of pulling back and wanting to save him, and here we are at the end of the year, and he's survived it.
Well, and probably something that was really, really important that I left out is when our season ended last year, I said, hey, we want you to be the full-time guy. And he was like, hey, does that mean that I don't get to play defense?
Right.
And I've said, hey, every quarterback I've ever had, I never let play defense. And I said, but if that's important to you, then I'll stick to it. And I said, you just got to promise me you're not going to get hurt.
Right.
And him and Tatum both have had phenomenal years on defense. And he comes downhill and is a very good tackler. He does well in coverage. And really both of those guys from the safety position have really solidified a lot of what we try to do on defense.
Yeah, they've had great seasons.
Yeah, we were talking upstairs, Coach, and being NE8 guys, Jackson and I are Columbia City folk. We're big fans of you guys' program, lots of respect for the Vikings. And so going back to my early coaching days, coaching junior football, I coached with a guy named Trent Patak, great dude, still a close friend of mine, and his son Mason is on your squad. And I thought just knowing him would be cool if you said a couple of things about Mason tonight. What you think of him?
Mason is one of those guys that early on, I kind of thought, maybe guys would pick on him a little bit, but he's funny. The more you're around him, the more you kind of come to the understanding that he gets everything that he deserves.
Right.
He is very
Absolutely.
good. He's very good at poking the bear and then turn around. And it's kind of like that old saying, the guy who retaliates gets the flag. And,
Yeah.
And he's that guy to a T.
I love it.
Great.
He really is. But, for a younger guy in the 2 years that I've been there, our older guys absolutely love him and enjoy giving him a hard time. And he certainly gives it right back. But certainly a good dude for sure.
Well, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of the season, and I shared this with you upstairs, but I think I told you at the time too. First time ever that we had the Vikings at the photo shoot for game night, and I just had a really good vibe. And I think I shared that with you either via text or over the phone, that again, I didn't feel like anybody walked out that I thought, wow, this is a D1 football player, or these guys are going to just beat the doors off people. But I knew that I picked up on something. It was a positive vibe. They got along well with one another. They were respectful. They just had a certain chemistry. And here we are, 3 months later, and you're sectional champs. Did you see it that soon too, or what? At what point did you guys as a coaching staff
Right.
think, hey, we've got a special group here, especially with these seniors?
And the one thing that has always impressed me in the 2 years that I've been there is we have great kids. And, I always will, and our guys, if, when they hear this, they just kind of ho hum or whatever. But truly, one of the differences between this year and last year was our guys play incredibly hard for each other and amazingly enjoy each other's company. And that means sometimes that if practice is over, film session is over, or whatever, there's still guys that are hanging out in the locker room, joking around and those kinds of things. And that is one that you can't, you can't look at and say, oh, that accounted for how many wins or so many losses or whatever. But it is one of those things that when those games get tight and you have to play for each other and you have to trust each other, that goes a long way. And, I look at last week, we're down 14 points and didn't flinch for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And our guys were confident. They believed in each other. There's no pointing the fingers, yelling at each other. It's, okay, how do we figure out how to get this thing done? And that's tremendous. And so last year we didn't have that in any way, shape, or form in the knowledge. But, it's not uncommon for us to call a timeout right now and say, hey, what are you seeing? And I've got to give Jimmy Linker a whole lot of credit. He was like, Coach, that safety is not over the top of me. He's over the top of me, but he is not responsible for me. And they are bracketing Tatum. And I said, okay. And so
you talking about last week?
I'm talking about last week.
Wow.
And
love it.
So, I call a play and boom, that was the tying touchdown. Or if we were ahead, I don't even remember at that point, but
the force overtime.
That
right?
was in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Absolutely. So those are the things that our kids understand and they get this year. They get the X's and O's. They understand why we do things, but they're empowered amongst each other and with our coaches that we welcome their input and that's how you win games, and super important for us.
Coach, recap, I guess, the end of the game, specifically overtime. You won by a field goal. Was that a walk-off, or did you score first and then stop them?
Yeah, so we had the ball. I think we got the ball somewhere around 1:30 left in that game, and I think we were on the -40. And so we moved it down to the 10. At one point, I thought Tony had broken it and was going to score. We clocked it at about 12 seconds and kicked a field goal. Most people in Northeast Indiana, are not familiar with Lebanon per se, but they've got a Big Ten caliber D1 kid, and so he came off the edge. And with high school football, you never think about this, but you don't have a side judge on a field goal. He's underneath the uprights. So anybody who was standing there really kind of thought that he was offsides. Obviously didn't get called, whatever. And so he blocked the field goal. And, at that point, they ran a play and the game, the regulation was over. We won the toss, elected to defer. Obviously, we wanted to have defense, so we know what we needed to do there. And Sully Stahl had a sack, took him out of field goal position, and we knew at that point all we needed was
3 points.
Yeah, so I really wasn't even concerned with necessarily the 3 plays that we ran as much as I was trying to get off of that hash, and we weren't off of it much, but. Then Johan, who has been money all year, comes in there and knocks it down. Didn't really hit it square. It was kind of like shooting a 3-pointer. Had great art to it, but then just dropped it over. But, and man, what an environment that was. You watch that on film, and as the ball goes through the uprights, you see all of our fans on our game film. And that was a
cool,
pretty amazing thing for both our kids, our students, and our community.
Absolutely. What a win. Jeff, you got another question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, we've talked about the resurgence with the program. Are you seeing it in the hallways? Are other kids starting to take notice? Kids, asking you about coming out for the team and anything like that?
Yeah. So for the most part with me during the day, I'm in the weight room, and the weight room's on the back side of the school next to the old field house. And so I don't necessarily get in the academic area very often, but you kind of look at points in the season and you kind of reflect on that. We were walking off the field at Eastbrook, and there was a kid who played for us last year decided that he was just going to focus on basketball this year, and we were trying to figure out how to make it work in the summertime, and he just wasn't confident that he was going to be capable of doing both. So I'm walking off the field at Eastbrook, and he comes up to me, and he just kind of gives me that look. And I said, "You miss it, don't you?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you regret not playing?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to play next year." And so who knows if he will or if he won't, but that really has kind of been the mentality. There's been some kids that maybe we wouldn't be able to get because they're trying to focus on another sport that we're hoping now, they can see what we're trying to do, and it's something that they definitely want to be a part of.
That's awesome. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And winning's contagious, and sometimes, you can build something. Just, right. I mean, you look at IU this year. Right. I mean, I've been jumping on the IU bandwagon because I'm an IU grad, and, winning camouflages everything and brings people aboard. Go ahead, Snake.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I believe you guys have PAL football for your youth, and then we coach, Jackson and I do at Indian Springs at Columbia City, and we've had some great games against Riverview and Crestview over there. Has it been prevalent for you to see some great guys coming up through your middle school ranks? What's that been like?
That we Crestview and Riverview and Prince Chapman and New Haven are the only two junior highs in the NE8 that are not combined. And I know, in Huntington County that is one that could very well be a hot topic. But I really believe that for us to consistently be competitive, that's something that our guys need to do. And and I'll give you an example. Our Crestview kids, we beat Northrop, and they look at me, and it's just something that I guess I didn't even realize. And they're kind of emotional a little bit, and they're like, "Coach, that's the first game we've won in 2 years of junior high."
Wow.
Yeah. And so, when you look at it, you're diluting to, like, if that was a combined team, you're really diluting them, but yet you're still playing 4A caliber opponents. And so that's tough. And, I don't know any other school in the conference that could do that and consistently win. And so I think for us, that's something that is a hot topic, and, I won't shy away from it. I think in order for us to have some sustainability over time, that's something that we have to really take a good hard look at.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you're worried about attrition or losing guys because of it.
Well, in today's world, if you're not winning, there's other things out there that are going to get their time and their attention.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big part of it. Jeff, do you have one more question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. I just want to talk about one of your other guys, Wyatt Shear, who you had mentioned earlier. One of your top receivers with 4 touchdowns on the season and 405 yards receiving from his tight end position. He goes 6'1", 230. He's also a great defensive end for you. But how else can Wyatt help your offense outside of receiving the ball with such a big frame?
You know, one of the keys, I think, to our offense is you have to, and really, you can look at East Noble, you can look at anybody that DeKalb that uses that off tight end the same way that we do. They have to be good blockers, and that's something that is not always measurable, meaning that it doesn't account for how many receptions or touchdowns or yards or whatever. But it is one of those things where I thought a year ago we really need to improve upon. And I think he's done. We asked him to do a whole lot, both mentally and physically. But he is a big kid. He's a physical kid, and he's done an amazing job. He probably has some of the best hands on the team, but he also has done an amazing job for us blocking, which has allowed us to run the ball well.
Well, Coach, we just have a couple minutes left in this segment. Thank you again for joining us tonight in the cave. In closing, maybe tell our viewers a little bit about your coaching background, where you kind of got your start and some of the stops along the way.
Sure. So going to high school, you're talking about being an IU guy. I grew up in Bedford, which is just south of IU, and
Damon Bailey country.
Yeah. We went to school at the same time. So
cool.
But, I started, my coaching career at Concordia. And I was there for, I think 3 or 4 years. And then my first teaching job was at DeKalb. So I coached there, and then I took a head coaching job back in Southern Indiana at a small school, Paoli. And so my wife was a chemist and kept her job in the Fort Wayne area. And then we were expecting our son. So we moved back. And then at that point, I was working on my master's, but I was coaching at Dwenger. And that was the 02-03 season. And then went to New Haven for a year just to sort of help that staff a little bit. And I felt good about working with Jimmy Lynn, who, ended up being the head coach at New Haven, and we worked closely together there. And then
Jim Rowland was the head coach
yes,
at that time.
Okay. He was, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I took an administrative job, did some, I coached some semi-pro teams, but I was an administrator, and you couldn't do both at Prairie Heights. So then I went to Eastside, was at Eastside, took over a struggling program there, and was there, I think, for 9 years, and then went to Wawasee, was there for a couple years, kind of got out of coaching, wasn't sure, if I wanted to do that anymore. And then I got back into it at Concordia, and some things there just didn't work out. So again, just, I'm traveling all over the U.S. working with service dogs and those kinds of things. And then, the Huntington North job opened up, and sort of the rest is history there.
Well, I'm sure the folks down in Huntington are glad to have you. Certainly this season. What a fantastic turnaround, Coach. Mike Eshbach has been our Coach in the Cave guest tonight on Around the Fort. Coach, thank you for joining us.
No, hey, I appreciate you having me. This is fun.
All right, we'll cut to a commercial. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Thanks.
White Shoes Kelly Chevrolet. We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape, and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.
Welcome back, everybody. Snake, I do love the outfit. Looks like you're getting ready for a Chili Peppers concert or something.
Yeah, I feel kind of like a stooge because back at our Busco house, we had a pool for the kids, and Amy got me this outfit as a joke because I don't think she thought that I was crazy enough to wear it. So I waited until one of our oldest daughters. I was really hoping tonight, but it sounds like the chances of this hot tub are dwindling. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, there's a new hot tub over at the cave.
It sounds like Casey's got a hot tub. I was pretty excited to smoke a cigar and hang out in there, but there's some chemical issues. I don't know. It's probably the same thing that happened to my Twitter. You know what I mean? You never know, Jeff.
Well, Snake, anything really surprise you over this past weekend with the scores?
No, I can't really say there are any surprises. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is South Adams still rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Really, their offense, the passing attack, just being very balanced, and really excited to see them still dancing. Not really surprised by Adams Central. Yeah. How about you, Jeff? Any big surprises at all?
Well, I was just curious, with the Bishop Dwenger East Noble game. I mean, East Noble just absolutely dominated that one, pulling off the 38-0 victory. I think that surprised many. I wasn't surprised that East Noble won. I was surprised that they dominated the way they did.
Yeah, I agree, buddy. I just really thought that with the way I really loved Dwenger mixing up their linebackers, some delayed blitz packages. Really liked the way they stunted, but man, East Noble, especially in the trenches. One of our viewers' son is a lineman, Hunter Smithson. I think it's number 79. They've got some huge dudes in the trenches. A lot of people were talking about how strong their defensive tackles were, and for them to be able to set the trenches the way that they have on both sides of the ball, they could run at will, and then you mix in that long ball with 3, if not 4, solid receivers that they've had, and Biddle being able to send that thing down the field. As critical as I've been, now it just seems like kind of East Noble's the team to beat, and they could be dancing for some time here, depending on what happens in the next couple of games. I would not be surprised to see them playing for a state title.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. And just piggybacking, Jake, their offensive line had 2 first-team All-NE8 performers, and that's their left side of the line with Hunter Shire, 6'5", 290, and James Miller, 6'1", 260.
And I think Smithson might have been second-team All-Conference, potentially.
I believe you're right.
Okay, well, I guess maybe do a quick recap of Coach Eshbach. I thought he was fantastic.
Loved him, man.
And yeah, I mean, he's got to be in the Coach of the Year conversation
For
after
sure.
1-9 a year ago to 9 wins this season. That's quite a turnaround, and first sectional title, as we said, since '93. Doing something right, and I just know there's a lot of energy down in the Huntington community, so pretty exciting stuff.
Well, think about this.
Whether
Casey.
or not they match up is another story, but with East Noble,
the tale of 2 programs. Last year, Huntington North squeaks by Belmont 13-12. Huntington North goes one way, and Belmont goes another way, heading into the 2024 season. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And we've talked a little bit this year about Belmont, Coach Nick Hall down there, and hoping that he can get the program turned around. He could probably point to that game and say, look, guys, this is a team that just won a sectional title that a year ago we were on the precipice of losing by just 1 point. And I'm sure Coach has used that, has pointed to that, and says we can work hard in the weight room, that we know they've got decent numbers on the lower ranks. So hopefully the Braves can follow suit. So why don't we jump into the games? Jackson, if you would, give me 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and start, guys, with this first game, and then I may pose a question or two, or you guys feel free to jump in. Are you ready, Jackson?
I was just going to say, great picture here by John Martin. This is Landon Swager's catch. I think that was early in the first quarter, Casey.
It was, yep.
And,
it was a tone setter.
Yeah, Jackson Parrish, he was really impressive all game for Bishop Dwenger, and he came over and laid a big lick on Swager, and he popped right up. It was a big reception for East Noble, and East Noble kind of proved with that catch right there that they could take a big lick and keep on ticking.
Yeah, and they that was a big reception over the middle, and Biddle was just very surgeon like in picking apart the Saints secondary. I mean, I think that's probably, with the exception of the Carroll game, the most Dwenger secondary got picked on this year, and it was just in spots. Truthfully, it wasn't like they threw it a ton, but they were very efficient, and East Noble clearly was the best, the better team last week against the Saints. All right, let's talk a little bit about Class 6A. We've got one representative still alive, the Carroll Chargers. Oh, there's that nice picture. Yeah, that was after the game. Thanks for putting that up, Jeff. So that's myself, Coach Siggs. I can't believe he's that much taller than me. I swear I'm shrinking. And then my daughter Maura, she was taking some pictures. She's been to a few games now this year. And we funny story real quick here. We were in the press room, and Maura is a huge IU fan, as you guys know. Well, we funnel out, and I didn't want to walk up the steps to get out of the stadium. I wasn't quite sure the best way to get out. And so we kind of followed Coach Siggs and entourage of people. It turns out it was his family, and his daughter was being proposed to. On that picture in the upper left-hand corner, you can't see it there because it's cropped in, but there's something that's, that says something to the effect of, "Will you marry me?" or something like that you can see in that photo. But so we were down there, and at this point we were kind of pot committed, right? We didn't want to just walk away and tiptoe away. So we stuck around and we waited, and we tried to not crash their party too much. I'm sure we photobombed a few family photos, but we ended up getting a quick pic with Coach Sig. And I said to him, "Hey, thank you for turning the program around." And I said, "Don't take your foot off the pedal." And he looked at me, he goes, "I'm not planning on it." And man, what a great story IU football is. So thank you, Jeff, for showing that. Again, there's going to be good game night karma for Jackson here. You got to believe, my man. We're sending Jackson to Ross Aid this week to cover his first ever college Division I football game on behalf of game night. And I just have a good feeling that the Boilers are going to shock the world. We'll see. All right, buddy.
Casey, how long is he going to be at IU?
I think this is where he finishes. I think they're going to open up their wallets, and NIL money is going to pour in. They're already talking about expanding the stadium. And like they did Notre Dame, 20 years or so ago, where they just build on to the top. And they've got room in both end zones too. I think that they could probably get creative on either side there and add 20 or 25,000 seats. So listen, if you build it, they will come. If you win, they will come. That crowd last week was electric. It was so cool. And to be down there on the field again, they didn't play particularly well, but it was Michigan, the defending national champs. They found a way to win. And it's pretty exciting being a long-suffering Indiana football fan and graduate as I am. It's been a really cool run. I've been to we've had credentials for the last 4 games since Nebraska. So we were up at Michigan State, and then of course last week the Michigan game, and now I'm just going to sit back and be a fan at home. So, but
it's interesting how Virginia Tech and IU had pretty much the exact same stadium 35 years ago, and how they each remodel it now. Yeah.
No, that's interesting that you brought that up. And I also heard that last week was the winningest program in college football against the losingest program as far as Division I Power 5 schools. So, just an amazing story. It could all, go sideways in a hurry, as we all know, but I wouldn't bet against them. They're a fun team to watch right now. Okay. Let's talk high school, Northeast Indiana high school football, shall we? Thank you, though, Jeff, for putting that out there. My bald head's getting sweaty. 5 minutes. Thank you, Jackson. Carroll, 9-2 at Crown Point, 11-0. The Bulldogs, really, really good team. I mean, they're just crushing people right now. I think they've got 8 shutouts with their starting defense on the field, which is just, 11 games is really impressive. That being said, I don't think with their schedule they've seen anybody quite like Jimmy football. Senior quarterback Jimmy Sullivan for Carroll is a dynamic player, and of course we know they've got great receivers. Brady Road at tight end, Jaden Van Pelt at wide receiver, and others. So I think this is a great matchup. I do think you'd have to probably give Crown Point a slight edge playing up in the region. It's a long drive. You never know how kids are going to, react to a long bus ride. And there's a time change as well. So I believe it's at 8 o'clock our time by the time they kick that thing off. So, Crown Point played in the state championship a year ago. They did graduate some studs, but they've got quite a few guys back. They've got the quarterback, Noah Ehrlich, who's a really, really accomplished QB, having a fantastic season. He's heading to Miami University in Ohio. He reminds me, truthfully, a little bit of Jimmy Sullivan. Very good decision maker. They like to roll him out and bootleg him a little bit. And he's actually a pretty good runner. I don't think he's as good a runner as Jimmy, nor as good a passer as Jimmy. But, of course, I'm very biased. But he's a heck of a football player. And he'll give the Chargers fits defensively. They have a lineman, Nolan Cicero, 6'5", 290. Kid's an animal. And definitely an all-stater. Big-time prospect on the offensive trenches. A tight end, Trevor Gibbs, really good-looking athlete, who's about 6'4", 220, I believe. And I don't know if he's got college opportunities, but he should. If he doesn't, he catches everything. He runs hard, and he's really a talented player. So this is a formidable opponent, are the Bulldogs. Again, I don't think they play the schedule that Carroll plays, especially with Carroll opening up with, HSE to start the season. And of course, playing, the likes of Snyder twice, Center Grove. So I'd give a slight strength of schedule to Carroll. That being said, Crown Point's just absolutely buried everybody. I mean, they look like a really dominant team right now. So this is going to be a difficult task for the Chargers. But I spoke with Andy Papagiannis, the offensive coordinator out at Carroll this week, and he says they feel good, they're healthy, they're excited. He didn't say this, but I almost could glean that he thinks they might be able to throw the ball a little bit against that defense. If they have one opportunity, it might be via the air. And again, Mother Nature is supposed to cooperate. I believe at kickoff, it's supposed to be about 45 and no rain. So it'll be ideal football conditions for this time of year. And I think Carroll, they're going to have to run the ball a little bit with Nate Starks just to keep that defense honest. But make no mistake, I think Crown Point's defensive strength is its front seven, especially their linebackers. They're pretty good. No world beaters, but man, they've got some guys that fly to the ball, they gang tackle, and they're always in the right spot. What I've seen on film, they seem to be very fundamentally sound. So it'll be a matchup of Carroll's passing game, I think, against that secondary from the Bulldogs. And if Jimmy's got time to throw and he can check down and not force anything and they can move chains, especially if they get a lead early, I think they hang around in this game. If they fall behind early or have turnovers, that it could be a long night for the Chargers. And one key point I just want to make is I think penalties will be huge in this game. Carroll, when they've had hiccups this year, really the last couple of years, the yellow hankies have really plagued them. And so they're going to have to play a clean game, can't have any holds on the offensive line, pass interferences on defense, that kind of thing. So if they play a clean game in that regard, I think they'll be in a position late in the contest. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Jeff, your thoughts real quick on this. We got about 45 seconds.
Yeah, you were talking about those linebackers from Crown Point. One of them, Lucas Szymborski, going to Ball State, ranked number 29th in the state. So, like you said,
Yes.
they got some high-profile players over there at Crown Point. One of the things that I've really liked about Carroll is the moving Will Jeffries over to running back. 5'10", 200-pound linebacker for him. Ran for 114 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry with a touchdown last week. And Casey, this late in the season, if you have a bigger back that you can kind of grind out yards with, that bodes really well for Carroll. They really haven't had that since Braden Steele was a junior in that magical run to the state championship game. And Jimmy, Casey, do you hear any update on his hand? I mean, is that just a non-story here?
It's a non-story. I think it's not bothering him at all. And he's, as close to 100% as you can be with, 2 or 3 weeks removed from surgery. So I think he's in perfect condition in that regard.
Yeah, but like you said, with the different time zone and everything, so an 8 p.m. start, giving them the 30 minutes for the travel also. I don't know, Casey. I think Carroll is definitely playing its best ball of the season. I mean, Snyder really didn't pose too much of a threat last week. They were able to hold him at bay. And once again, just super impressed with Jeffries, who also led the team with 13 tackles.
Yes, for sure. Well, good recap, Jeff. Let's get into Class 4A, our next contest. Jeff, you're going to tackle this one. Huntington North. We just had Coach Eshbach down in the cave. 9-3 are the Vikings at East Noble. East Noble 11-1, and they've rattled off 10 straight since that week 2 loss to Snyder. Take it away, my man.
Yeah, I mean, what East Noble did last week just kind of confirms what we've been thinking all year. This is kind of that team of destiny. You know, so many senior starters for East Noble, 9 out of 11 on defense, and on the offensive side, just Riley Biddle's a junior, but the rest of your offensive skill position players are seniors. Well, I guess Mason Trish is a sophomore. So it's just so tough when you have so many good players, but they're also all seniors. The camaraderie on this team is just second to none. Riley Biddle seems to throw those strikes when needed. Had a great touchdown to Jordan Borders, one to Logan Hatton, a nice back shoulder throw. I was really surprised with how the defense was able to totally shut down the Dwenger run game. I think Dwenger had 7 first downs in that game. And I thought something that was interesting that I had read was this is the first year since I think it was like 1999 or maybe 2009 that Snyder or Dwenger has not won a sectional championship in the same season. So I thought that one was interesting. But, you know, hats off to Huntington North. And you really feel like if they're going to have success, it starts with Wyatt Shearer, their tight end, and how he's able to block against that massive front seven there of East Noble. You know, every single week it seems like a new guy stepping up to have a great game. 2 weeks ago against Leo is Gavin Sparkman, the nose tackle, who's got 66 tackles on the season, the third leading tackler from his nose tackle position. And then last week, a guy like Aiden Lay stepped up and had a big tackle for a loss and a sack against the Saints. I mean, Dylan Krell's continuing to do what Dylan Krell does. Nobody has an answer for him offensively or defensively. And I was a little bit concerned for East Noble heading into that game that Dwenger, you know, how just physical and how tough they are, could maybe bully them. And I don't want to say scare East Noble, but man, East Noble responded. And it started with that catch by Landon Swagger, which was the picture for the Week 13 regional picks from the Swami. So, you know, in this one, I just feel like East Noble is a little bit too much to handle for Huntington North, even though hats off to what Huntington North has done. I would have a hard time seeing this game being as close as it was the first time around. I think it was the 28-16 win for East Noble.
Yeah, that was back in week 3, and I agree with you, Jeff. I think this is a team that they both are playing clearly much better than they were, you know, 2 or 3 months ago. So hats off to both coaching staffs. But East Noble seems to be at a different level right now, playing with a ton of confidence. And I think they really took the fight to Bishop Dwenger last week. That opening drive where the Saints won the coin flip and deferred to the second half, East Noble just took it right down the field with that big pass to Swagger over the middle is kind of the signature play. And one guy you didn't mention was Dallas Plattner. I thought he was really good last week running the ball as well for East Noble. Jake, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Plattner because that to me is trying to be politically correct here. I think East Noble's obviously the favorite. Super excited for what Huntington North's done in this season. Love their offense. Like I said, I mean, speaking to coach, it's like he is the Chris DePue offensive mind, as Chris DePue would be the defensive mind of Garrett. Like how I was able to speak with him about different run fits and things. Coach Eshbach he's a very, very bright offensive mind, and I love that. But for East Noble, I just think that they've gotten so much better week to week. And now you have not only Krell, but Plattner as well. Like, hypothetically, that they get through this regional and they go on to semi-state, you have a team that checks every box. They have sound defense. Their front seven are monsters. They're fast on the back end. They're special teams. They've got a great kicker with Sprague.
Great kicking game and return guys like the Mad Hatter.
Yes. And then you look at, as I've said, you don't need Biddle to be a guy that's picking apart 2 and 3 reads across the short, 5 to 15 yard vicinities of the field. And that offense, like, they use their H-back counter to establish the run. And then when he needs to, he just takes the top off. That dude will gunsling it. And I swear by this that he has the best deep ball in the area. And that just checks all the boxes for a big state run. So obviously you can't overlook any team you're playing against, but I just think East Noble's so strong right here. And to Coach Eshbach, the comment that he made, it is tough to learn how to win. And they've done it this year, but it's kind of a Cinderella story. And whereas East Noble, every season they're in the sectional or regional discussion.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, good synopsis there, guys. I didn't get a chance to ask Coach Eshbach about a month ago when they beat the tar out of the Wieners of Frankfurt, 77-8. I wanted to ask him about his thought process when it was 56 zip at half and how he managed that. But at any rate, great season. And again, thank you, Coach, for coming down to the cave tonight.
And one thing to point out,
Fighting Glizzies. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say one thing to point out with East Noble: 26 team interceptions on the season. They've only thrown 6 interceptions, but 26, man, I can't remember the last time I've seen that on a defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And their line play was just terrific on both sides last week. Shout out to my man, Pace Agee, senior defensive end. He's a beast. He got a shirt this week, and he better wear it. From the Swami. All right, let's get into Snake. This is your game, Class 3A. Knox, Coach Radke's boys are 9-3. We're used to hearing Knox play this time of the year.
Yep.
At Garrett, Coach Depew's Railroaders are 12-0. They've only won 12 games. 2 other times in school history they've never been 12-0. I'm sure you know that, Jake. And they survived a 1-point win last week against West Noble. Take it away.
Super cool that we're all allowed to say Redskins again, so that'll help with this section.
I love saying Redskins.
Yeah. Knox last week beating Mishawaka Marion 12-0. Their losses coming to Culver Academy, North Judson, and Bremen. All 3 pretty strong programs. Garrett, obviously, in the 21-20 instant classic to stay undefeated. Awesome. Looking at Knox the last few seasons, they've kind of been West Noble's sectional kryptonite. And so now they get Garrett, and I think it becomes a little bit of a different story. The Redskins rely on the 5'10", 180-pound running back Miles McLaughlin, who is averaging 213 yards a game with 39 total touchdowns as one human being, which is absolutely incredible. Unfortunately for him, in my synopsis, I think Coach Depew, as I've said a million times, has the best mind for run fits, and I think that this is a defense that can shut number 2 McLaughlin down to win that game. They both have a common opponent with Tippecanoe Valley, where Knox beat them 26-3 and Garrett destroyed them 42-13. So that's a nice stat there. And kind of like we said, as East Nobles got hot here, Garrett seems kind of like a team of destiny. You've got Cam Rubel at running back, Parker Skelly at receiver, and Calder Hefty, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the area. They're combining for 44 total touchdowns on the year between those 3 guys. And I just think that's going to be a little bit too much for Knox this year. And what do they say in Garrett? Is it a roll big train?
I think they love the train up there, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Roll big train. That's
no doubt about it. The Railroaders are just what a great story. And again, feel bad for West Noble losing a heartbreaker last week.
Yes.
Coach Monty Maywater's been there forever. That would have been their first ever sectional. So, I mean, we couldn't lose. I think the 3 of us, 4 of us with Jackson, we couldn't lose last week. One of those teams was going to move on and give us somebody to root for another week. But again, right now, Coach Depew has to be the front runner for Coach of the Year, but I think Coach Eshbach is closing the gap. He upsets East Noble tomorrow night.
Buddy.
He might get into that conversation. He might be 1A. But I thought it was interesting, Jeff. We were talking upstairs with Coach before the show about the week 3 column that the Swami did on the dual quarterbacks/safeties. And Tony Decker and Calder Hefty were both on the cover that week. And I find it fascinating that we highlighted those 2 young men, and they're still playing and they're still healthy. And I know their coaches, every time they lower their shoulder to make a hit on defense, cringe probably a little bit and do one of these, and they always come out of the pile unscathed. Those are 2 really, really good football players that I hope get an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, most definitely. Look what Garrett did against Seth Pruitt, the great running back, program's all-time leading rusher, single-season rushing holder, record holder for West Noble, but they held him to 26 carries, 92 yards, 1 touchdown in 2 games played, well under his season and career averages. And Knox did not even throw the ball last week, and they only had 2 guys record carries, and McLaughlin, and I think Conrad's the other one.
Mhm.
So, but that plays into Garrett's favor. I think Garrett's run defense, like Jake alluded to, I mean, they can absolutely devise a scheme to shut down your run game. And Calder Hefty, who's the team's 3rd leading tackler with 63 tackles on the season, with him manning that defensive backfield along with Parker Skelly, I think that allows Garrett to add some extra guys in the box to help stuff that run. So if there was ever a year a team from Northeast Indiana was going to get Knox, I think it's this year with the Garrett Railroaders.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jeff. I love what they do. They got that 4-3 defense with Egley and Hunt in the middle. Those guys just kind of are so dominant at the point of attack where they command double teams. And then you got Levi Cheney and Mason Balzer at defensive ends who are kind of crashing and disruptors, and then really talented linebacking core. But the strength, I'm with you, is that back end with Calder Hefty and Parker Skelly. Calder Hefty is he's just a playmaker. And the kids, like you said, I think 2nd or 3rd on the team in tackles. And usually when your safety or anybody in the secondary is that high up on your tackles chart, you're not having a successful season, but not with that kid, because he just likes to get his nose in the mix. And what a season it's been for the Railroaders. So we'll be pulling for them again for sure for one more week, and then see if we couldn't get a matchup against Bishop Luers. Speaking of Bishop Luers, the other Class 3A representative here locally, I'll tackle this one to start with, guys, and then I'll ask from assistance. The Bishop Luers Knights are 8-4, and they are traveling to Maconaquah. Maconaquah 12-0 are the Braves. I didn't get a chance to look this up, but I don't think they've ever won a regional championship, Maconaquah. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. So they're on the precipice of something really, really special down there for that community. They've got an offense that's got 5,000 yards this year, so they can put up some points, guys, and some serious real estate. 3180 in passing, so pretty darn impressive. 2 receivers in the 1,000 yard mark. Fuddy Kyle, that's his name, Fuddy. 72 receptions for 1,164 yards, not too shabby. And AJ Kelly, 52 grabs, 922 yards. He also, does AJ, have 8 interceptions on defense. So you're going to have to find out where he is at offensively if you're Bishop Luers. 17 picks for the Braves on the year defensively, and also 16 sacks. So it's not just an offensive team. They can get it done on both sides of the ball. That being said, Maconaquah does not play the schedule that Bishop Luers plays. Surprise, surprise, right? Everybody's shocked by that statement, but it's the truth. Bishop Luers, again, moved up a class, having some success now in Class 3A, just like Adams Central is in 2A, and it feels like they just haven't hit their stride yet. I still think they can get better and play at a higher level. And I'm sure talking to Coach Kyle Lindsay, he would agree with that statement, but they're in familiar territory playing for another regional championship, this time in 3A. I think they have to be considered the favorite because of all their tradition and their pedigree, but it's certainly no gimme on the road. And Maconaquah is going to want to make a statement, for their community as well. I did talk to Carson Bradley, defensive coordinator from Bishop Luers, the other day. We had him down earlier in the season, and I know he's really excited about this team and where this program is headed right now in 3A, that he feels like they're, performing well and acquitting themselves well. But he also knows that this is a talented Maconaquah team, and they've got some playmakers. I don't think they've got necessarily any game changers in terms of speed, Maconaquah, but they're solid. I mean, you put up numbers like the Kyle and Kelly kids; those are impressive numbers. But that being said, have they seen a secondary like Bishop Luers has? I really doubt it. I mean, they're loaded on that side of the ball, are the Bishop Luers Knights, and again, it will come down to the typical things: penalties, turnovers, things like that. And if Luers gets, I don't want to say cocky, but if they overlook McConaughey and they all of a sudden fall down early and get a little out of sorts, anything can happen. High school football is all about momentum, as you guys know. But I'm going with the Knights here all day long. Snake?
Yeah, you mentioned it, with the Braves being in the TRC, the Three Rivers Conference, no disrespect to that conference, great small school football, but it's just not anything like what you're going to see, with Lures playing in the
Satchel.
SAC. It's
The Satchel.
in the Satchel. It's just too much.
Yeah, I'd agree. And, ever since the switch to Jace White at quarterback for the postseason game against Norwell, I mean, he's had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a QBR of 120 in the playoffs so far. So super efficient. I'm sure that makes head coach Kyle Lindsey happy. And then D. Hogue has been their primary running back, averaging 16.8, 12.4, and 10.8 yards per carry in the wins against Norwell, Jay County, and Mississinewa with 6 touchdowns for D. So, man, now you're looking at, they got a lot of depth at running back. The defense has been really good all season long, and it looks like Jace is starting to get very comfortable at quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Eskridge, the transfer from Bluffton, had a TD reception last week as well. He's looking a little bit more comfortable at tight end. And then, of course, Daria Williams, had that huge season to start with. He's still in the mix, but obviously they like what they've got with Hogue. I think he gives them a little different gear, hits the hole perhaps a little quicker. And, they're clicking on all cylinders, no doubt about it, are the Bishop Lures Knights. We shouldn't be surprised by any of this. And I think this is again, an uphill climb for McConaughey, but it's playing at home, and you never know. Weather's supposed to be, I think, about 50 degrees at kickoff. I checked the forecast down there, and that's down in where's that at? Hamburger Hill or Bunker Hill or what the
Bunker Hill.
What's it called?
If I remember right, they have a great drag strip over that way.
I think they do.
Yeah, they totally do. It's a great drag strip. Bunker Hill drag strip.
Jake the Snake knows all these obscure little stats about the little towns in northern Indiana. That's why I love this guy, and the fact that he's dressed for a luau tonight.
The IHSAA website, McConaughey has not ever won a regional.
Oh, thank you. Look at that, Jackson, just chiming in. No regional championships, according to Jackson. Did a little research for us. Well, thank you, my man. So yeah, they're hungry. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and not only would it be their first, but to do it against a program like Bishop Lures would be pretty special. All right, let's get out of there. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're going to jump down into Class 2A, where Bishop Lures used to make all their noise. And now a team that used to make all their noise in 1A won their first 2A sectional a year ago, the Adams Central Flying Jets at 11-1, hosting Eastern from Greentown, I believe, 8-4. Take it away, Jeff.
Yeah, Eastern, you're going to like this, Casey. There's 2 Easterns, Eastern in Pekin and Eastern in Greentown, and not to be confused with Eastern Green or Eastern Hancock. Eastern Pekin, they're the Musketeers, so I kind of got excited for a second when I clicked on the wrong team. But, yeah, Eastern coming off a sectional championship there. I think it was Eastern's first sectional championship.
Yes.
Of their program's history, just like McConaughey. But once again, they don't play a schedule I feel as good as Adams Central. I mean, Adams Central picking up Garrett to start the season was huge for them, and the Jets just keep on rolling. Down 13-7. In the first quarter, rattle off 21 unanswered points in the second quarter, 13 in the third quarter for that big victory, 41-19 at Eastside. Man, they're very much like Lures. It seems like they're adapting to a class ahead of them quite nicely. And I did see where Indy Lutheran has lost a game this year. So Indy Lutheran is now number 2 in 2A behind Lafayette Central Catholic and Adams Central at number 4. And Eastern's nowhere to be found on the media poll or the coaches poll. So that bodes well, definitely, for the Flying Jets.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but how wild would it be to see Adams Central and Indy Lutheran play for a 4th straight year? And God forbid the Flying Jets would come up short again. It would be like Groundhog Day.
It's the 4 balls of
community.
Buffalo.
Yes, it really is. I mean, you move up a class, it doesn't matter. They can't escape the Saints of Indy Lutheran. But that being said, making it to state, moving up a class would be quite an achievement, and we would certainly be pulling for AC. And I guess if you could win one in 2A over Indy Lutheran, you would be able to say, hey, yeah, you guys beat us in 1A, but those are the little guys. We're 2A now. And that would be pretty cool. But yeah, the sophomore quarterback, Jamison Roach, keeps improving week after week. The two-headed rushing monster of Aaron Hershey and Matt Heiser. I don't think either of those kids, both seniors, get enough credit for how hard they run. The line's doing great things. Cameron Fravel, the junior guard, comes to mind. That kid's a tough kid. A lot of these kids are two-way players too, as they always are at AC. And I think they're pretty healthy. Jarrett Smith is another kid who makes big plays. We had that nice pick of him with the Superman catch that we saw from a couple weeks ago. So this is a team that's playing at a high level. They got a little bit of a wake-up call. I think, Jeff, you alluded to last week against Eastside, a team that they just crunched in week 2. And so it was good to see them bounce back and put the Blazers away after that slow start. But we go back to week 1 and the Garrett scheduling in the 20-7 win by the Railroaders. And at the time, I don't think any of us had any idea it was going to be that impressive of a loss, if you will, for Adams Central. It felt like, okay, maybe this is the year they're taking a little bit of a step back. Here we are 11 wins later, and the Flying Jets are playing really, really good football, as are the Railroaders. Snake, put a button on this.
Yeah, I was impressed with Eastern's win over the Rochester Zebras midseason. Pretty stout program in the TRC, but man, other than that, it's like we said, I think strength of schedule, AC is just too strong.
Okay. Jake, I'm going to hand you the baton once again, and you're going to finish this up tonight. Class 1A, North Miami, 10-2. What are they, the Warriors or Indians or?
North Miami Warriors, yeah.
They're the Warriors, okay. The Warriors are 10-2 at South Adams. I know what they are, the 7-5 Starfires.
Starfires.
Man, Coach Grant Mosier, they got a little B. Antonio's pizza a couple weeks ago, and I think it's been fueling them ever since. Take it away, my man.
Well, I'm going to try to not get off on too far of a tangent here, but I made a joke a week or two ago about a Columbia City High School ag teacher that I had, Jim Wildermuth. I made a joke that I thought he might have been a running back at North Miami. And after a little research, I believe he was not only a running back at North Miami, he was on their 1993 state championship team at North Miami. And Jim Wildermuth also just won an award as he's gone back to his alma mater. He is teaching, doing ag and FFA at North Miami, and in 2021 won the Indiana Rural Teacher of the Year Award.
Oh,
so if this somehow gets back to Mr. Wildermuth, dude, thanks for everything, for welding and for all the stuff you taught us, and soil judging. We brought soil judging back to Columbia City, and now he's got a national level soil judging team at North Miami. Now,
speaking of welding, can he weld Annie's mouth shut?
we may have to do that. Sorry. And now getting back to the football side, North Miami, 1993 state champions, pretty cool. South Adams with a semi-state run in 2020 with a tough loss to Covenant Christian, 41-40. So North Miami's losses this year come from both North Judson and Pioneer, which are both pretty solid football teams. And they also beat a pretty tough Triton team last week, 28-21. The strength of the North Miami offense is pretty sweet because they're running an unbalanced flex bone, very, very old school offense. They've got a fullback in Luke Musal and a slot back in Ryan Meredith. Meredith is kind of their feature player. But Starfire's huge win over Madison Grant, 43-36. I think some people were a little shocked by that. Electric offense, which I'm a big fan of, with McKean, Neuenschwander, and Somerset catching balls for Titus Lehman. He's got 26 touchdowns roughly on the year. A lot of fun to watch. Now, here's a player that after watching some film today and finding North Miami film, little tough, but I see this kid, one of the rangiest defensive backs that I've watched on film. You got to find him. He's 5'3", 120 pounds, free safety Braylon McIntyre. Put some respect on this kid's name because this could be a kid that ends up being a game wrecker because you're going to overlook him on height. I don't know what this dude's 40 time is or what his quicks are in like a 5.10.5 or a shuttle drill would be, but he's got 5 interceptions on the year. I've not seen a kid on film with closing speed like this. It's stupid. So you get these long passes that go down the field. You're not really looking. You look that safety off, and maybe you think that he's not in position, and this kid can make plays. So keep an eye on him on the back end of this game.
So the last time North Miami, and the only time they won a state title, 1993. Also the last time that Huntington North won a sectional title.
Wow.
Could be a little karma there
Yes.
for the Warriors or Indians or what are they?
The Warriors.
Did they have
Not
to
to be
change their
confused with
name?
the Redskins, though,
Okay, yeah,
which we can say.
yeah, that is awesome. All these teams, we need to bring back nicknames, and we need to change nicknames like the Terps in Busco.
That's
Where are
that's
you
just
at
a
with
lock.
that, Jeff? Have you met with the mayor up there or anything? Is there any
No,
petition?
I've absolutely made no progress on that. I tried to convince the police officer, but instead I convinced myself out of a ticket.
Okay. Well, as long as you didn't end up in the clink,
Oh.
I guess we should consider that a victory. All right. Well, if you want to spend maybe 5 minutes, we can go through the Swami's picks real quick, Jeff, and then we'll put this thing to bed. We'll start in Class 6A. We'll just do our games if that's okay. Carroll at Crown Point. I think Carroll can win this game. The Swami does not. Swami says Crown Point, the Bulldogs by 9. Your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Boy, yeah, I guess you would have liked to seen better passing numbers last week against Snyder for Carroll, but Snyder does have a great defensive backfield. I do feel like Carroll's definitely playing their best football of the season. A lot of depth there. Jaden Van Pelt with 2 touchdown receptions last week bodes well for them. I definitely think Carroll's going to be in this game. It's definitely going to be tough being up in the region. I'm going to say Carroll pulls off the upset by 1.
Oh my, I love it so much. The upset special by 1. What do you think?
I'm unfortunately going the other way. I got Crown Point by 17.
17, mercy.
Yeah.
All right, Swami's right in the middle, like a 30-21 type game, but it's going to be a great environment, and we're pulling for Carroll for sure. I'd love to see Jimmy football and his comrades get another week of football. I'd love to see them get another shot at a state championship in their senior year. All right, let's drop down to 4A. Jake, I'll turn it over to you. Huntington North at East Noble. We talked at length tonight. We had Coach Eshbach down here from Huntington. And Swami says East Noble by 25. Too many? Not enough? Or just about right?
No, I feel like it's dead on. And again, hats off and mad respect to Coach Eshbach and the Vikings. I think it's been a heck of a run, but East Noble is just showing us week after week how strong they are on both sides of the football. Actually, all 3 phases with the special teams, and perfect number. I got that East Noble at 25.
Yeah, the Knights are really hitting on all cylinders. Swami thinks like a 38-13 type game. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, when we look at it, and the first game was a 12-point victory for East Noble. I looked up at the spread here, and I thought the Swami was right on at 25. But the more I think about it, I just don't know how Huntington North's going to be able to score against them, even with the arm of Tony Decker. I mean, that defensive backfield is just so hawking. Of those 26 interceptions, Riley Biddle only has 1. And, Riley Biddle had that huge 4th down stop against Bishop Dwenger. I think it was Shefferly that he hit and just knocked backwards, just showing how special of an athlete Biddle is. Yeah, honestly, though, I think it's going to be by more than 25.
Okay. Well, Coach Eshbach, if you're watching, there's your motivation right there. But it's going to be it's been a great season regardless for both squads. But I'm with you guys. I think East Noble gets it done. All right, Class 3A. Knox 9-3. Coach Radke's fellas, or what are they? The Redskins?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Skins. I'm going to just call them the Skins. Take it to a new level.
I like
the
it.
Skins are 9-3 at Garrett. Garrett's back at home. I love Coach Chris Dupuy's squad. They've never won 13 games. They get it done tomorrow night. Swami says Garrett by 6. Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, this is strength on strength when you look at running. I think Garrett hopefully is going to have the advantage here with Calder Hefty, the quarterback. But just like in every game, this is going to fall on Cam Rubel. And can he churn out those yards that he's been doing all season? 1,300 rushing yards, 5.3 average. It's just such a steady force for them. He's got 8 100-yard rushing games to be able to hand him the ball. eat up clock, get first downs will be big in this one. Rubel had 87 yards on 24 carries against West Noble. So maybe not the greatest stats, but still a driving force that they were able to pound against the Chargers and eventually get the win.
No doubt. Snake, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm not sure what his official position is at Columbia City High School anymore, but was our varsity baseball coach, one of the people responsible for getting me into youth football coaching. Rob Bell is Garrett Railroaders alum, so shout out to you, Rob, because the train just keeps on rolling. I think, what is that, 6-point spread, Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah, all day.
Ring that bell.
Ring the bell. Roll
Okay.
big train.
Okay.
Garrett.
Swami is feeling a Calder Hefty naked bootleg in overtime for a walk-off.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice.
There you have it. Bishop Lures 8-4 in familiar territory at Mechaniqua. The Braves are 12-0, having a special season. Snake, I'm going to come back to you. Swami believes Lures by 13.
Oh, yeah.
And then some?
Absolutely. It's strength of schedule all day long.
Okay. Well, they had a big lead last week, and then they had to hold on for dear life, winning just by a touchdown. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this time of year, you need a bruising runner, and that's exactly what D. Hogue is. On the defensive side of the ball, he's one of the hardest hitters in Northeast Indiana, so it makes sense that they're going to move his talents to the offensive side and put a hurt into the defenses. Lures easily wins this one by 13.
Okay, we're going to need to talk a little bit at some point, too, in the future about some of these guys at Lures getting some offers. Seems like it's been suspiciously quiet out on the south side of town. But speaking of, I don't know if you guys talked about it last week or not. What about Kamar Nelson picking up the Purdue offer and accepting? How great is that for Kamar? And now we've got him and Sam Stewart, the linebacker from Homestead, pairing up. That'll be pretty neat to see those two guys playing side by side down in Boiler Country. What are your thoughts there, Jeff?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, that's defensive line U right there. At least it used to be. I keep going back to Ryan Kerrigan, the great defensive end who had an awesome season with the Redskins in the NFL. I think they were still the Redskins at the point. But, you know, they had those maroon-looking jerseys. I think that he's going to be that 2-point edge rusher, and he is going to be awesome at Purdue. Love to see it. Jackson, thanks for pulling your connections there.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? We did promote the heck out of that kid.
Oh,
so, and he sent me a nice separate message on X thanking us for all the coverage. And so, you know, they appreciate it. But that was a kid that I think all of us agreed was undervalued. And we could not, for the life of ourselves, figure out why he didn't have offers and hardly any offers, let alone Division I. And here he gets a Big Ten opportunity to play for Purdue. That's just what a great story. We're so happy for that kid.
Yeah, his natural abilities from a strength and speed standpoint, I feel like it's unmatched. I don't even know who we can compare him to in the recent past.
I think I compare him to myself when I go to the fridge with the speed and the agility and the power.
And just running over anybody that gets in your way.
I mean, I don't care if the deaf puppy's in my way or not. I am running through her and knocking her kibbles over, and I will get to the fridge and eat plentiful. All right, let's talk Class 2A. Jeff, I'm going to have you start this one. Eastern 8-4. We talked already about this team having some success this year against a juggernaut like Adams Central, moving up to 2A. Flying Jets are 11-1. Swami says Adams Central by 30. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think they learned a good lesson last week, kind of like what Bishop Lures did against Cherubusco last year in the playoffs, where Adams Central is not going to come out flat in this game. They're going to come out firing on all cylinders and absolutely pull out a 30-plus victory.
Okay, this kind of game you would think. Again, we're getting to that point in the season where you want to make sure you win, but you got to be real smart, too, about not leaving guys in. And getting too cute with it and lose, especially at a school like Adams Central where you don't have much depth. Because oftentimes you get an injury there, it's on both. It's a two-way player and it's devastating. Yeah. Jeff, did you have another thought?
Well, I was just gonna say definitely not the Eastern Musketeers, Eastern Comets.
Oh, they're the Comets, right?
Comets, yep.
Right, with a C.
Yep.
Unlike our Comets of Fort Wayne with a K.
Very good.
Go ahead, Snake. What do you got here?
Yeah, AC by 30, definitely.
Are you sensing like a 37-7 type thing? The
Yeah,
Comets just get like a shooting star touchdown in the
I
fourth quarter.
think Eastern will get on the board, but I think AC is strong defensively as well, but offensive just juggernaut right now. They're rolling.
Yeah, first ever sectional championship in Class 2A for the Flying Jets. Congratulations to Coach Mosier and his crew. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Class 1A, North Miami, 10-2. They're the Redskins or the Chiefs. What are they?
North Miami?
Yeah,
Warriors.
Oh, they're Warriors. I can't for the life of me. I mean, with a name like North Miami, shouldn't they have a whole
You'd think.
Indian theme? Well, I guess Warriors are kind of.
Warriors is
okay, fair enough. At South Adams, the Starfires. I love that nickname. Great helmet, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You see it right
It's
there?
a nice one, yeah.
Love that helmet. 7-5. Coach Grant Mosier. What a turnaround for the folks from down in Bern. I'm going to turn it over to you, Jeff. Swami says South Adams by a field goal. Your thoughts?
Boy, you'd like to think so. What a resilient group they have over there at South Adams, coming from behind, pulling off victories here in the postseason. You got to love the three-headed monster, Derek McKean, Newen Schwander, and Wesley Somerset. I mean, Wesley Somerset has turned it on in the postseason. Looking at his last 3 games, a win against Union City, a win against Tri, and that's it, Casey, just Tri. And then the win last week, but he's had touchdowns in each one of those games, 5 receptions for 89 yards against Tri, and then 7 receptions for 173 yards against Madison Grant. So I think if you're South Adams, you want to find that bruising running back, maybe Dylan, that can just grind out some yardage for you and eat up some clock.
The Night Stalker, Dylan Ramirez. I call him the Night Stalker. That kid's a heck of a football player. And what a great turnaround for the South Adams Starfires. They were certainly the beneficiary of Adams Central moving up to Class 2A, and they could get them out of the way, and now they could focus on winning some championships. So really happy for them down there. What a great story. There's a nice shot. Thank you, Jackson, for doing the zoom in. Yeah, the Starfires. Love that helmet. Jake, what are your thoughts here? Does South Adams get this done?
Absolutely. You do not need any safeties in this game. You just roll all 11 dudes down in the box at the point of attack, shut down the run. South Adams can get it done by 3. Absolutely. I think the Starfires win by 9 or 10.
Okay. Well, there you have it, everybody.
Casey.
Yes.
One quick random thing before we leave, too.
I love random
Quick shout
things.
out to our good friends, Warsaw Football. I know they're a little out of our coverage area, but I wanted to tell a quick story that I thought was really cool.
It
says a lot. Yeah, they are on the picks. I do think that they get their first regional in 5A also Friday night. But Xander, who plays soccer over there, his best friend Fisher is the freshman kicker behind Mason Smythe right now. Mason graduates this year. They let Fisher dress varsity as a freshman. He kicked his first PAT and second round of sectionals against Plymouth, I believe it was. He was successful and thought that was really awesome. Xander's good buddy got a little special teams time as a frosh, and looks like he's going to have a good chance to be kicker 1 on the depth chart next year.
I mean, that's a nice shout out there for your boys up there in Warsaw.
Tigers,
Bart
baby.
ball. I mean, load it up, push, keep the clock running. I think this is their kind of game.
Yeah, they think that since the old Bronchos are undefeated, I don't know. You haven't seen a Black Plague defense yet. If they don't turn the ball over, it's going to be a game.
Those Bronchos do not respect Warsaw at all.
Not at all.
It's going to be so much fun. Well, it's been a great season. We're winding down. We've got a handful of teams that we're expecting to advance, and so we can talk about some more football for at least another week. Jeff, do you have anything in closing?
Yeah, Lafayette Jeff and Warsaw were both 6A at least 2 years ago. I know that Carroll ran through Lafayette Jeff, so both have fallen down to 5A. That's interesting.
It is interesting, and both have had some success. Carroll, of course, played both and survived 2 years ago by a point, I believe, down at Lafayette Jeff, and then of course, Warsaw upset the Chargers in week 1 last year. So some ties here locally to the Carroll Chargers.
Yeah,
so that's a good call out. All right. Well, thanks everybody for the Killer Jays, Jake the Snake, Jackson, and Jeff. I am Casey O'Boyle. We will see you next week. Get out and watch some football tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Why choose Kelly Chevrolet? We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.